Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first installment of the Weekly Scoop, where I bring to your attention some of the interesting articles and content that we've posted on EBNet during this week, give you some insights into my thinking behind the comments I make in my daily newsletter, and also bring to your attention some of the more exciting things that we can expect in the upcoming days and weeks. So starting this week, I think one of the words that has been stuck in my mind is collaboration. This is an interesting word in our industry where, as a community, I think historically we've been reluctant to collaborate and reluctant to share what we believe is our intellectual property or our proprietary information. And doing some research into CRESA and CRESA 2 earlier this week, you see a definite sentiment being introduced into our world where the regulators and the conduct authorities are expecting us to share information as a community. This came up again in Joint Standard 2 of 2024, where the two regulators have encouraged retirement funds and financial institutions to collaborate to learn from each other's mistakes, learn from each other's challenges when it comes to protecting our members and our investors' personal information and data. So collaboration for me is an interesting one and something that I think as a community we haven't yet got perfectly right. Yesterday's Sanlam symposium was a real lesson in collaboration and information sharing. And I'm not going to take away or give any spoiler alerts to the content that we will be publishing in the upcoming days. But really, the conversation was robust, it was interrogated, it was informed. And to see that kind of collaboration in the context of the needs that we are trying to meet as a community for South Africans, both investors and members of retirement funds, was very, very rewarding. So big thumbs up to Sanlam for their benchmark symposium yesterday. You can catch some highlights that have been posted today on the website around the content of both their report and survey, together with some of the conversations that were held in the room. Other pieces of interesting news that popped onto the site this week, I'm just looking now. One of the highlights for me is our insert called Exec Meet and Greets, and really bringing to the industry the thought leaders that shape our cultures and shape our advice and product design. This week, I had the privilege of a conversation with Karen Mitchell-Moore, who is the new head of healthcare at NMG Benefits. And one of the things that really resonated with me was her sincere intention to bring values, both the values of her organization and her own personal values, into her job, into her product design, but then also into the team of people who she leads. A real good conversation around the sincerity of leadership. And speaking of leadership, one of the things I am looking forward to next week is our live webinar with Nkululeko Pitye, who is the CEO at Discovery Corporate and Employee Benefits. A couple of things I wouldn't mind chatting to her about. The first being is her long tenure at her current employer. And it is something that is unusual in our industry and in our worlds. And so I'm looking forward to unpacking the obvious alignment she feels with the culture and the values of her organization, and then drilling down a little bit further into her beliefs and strategies that she brings as a leader who has been described by some in the press as a powerhouse who was born to lead. Very much looking forward to that. You're welcome to join our conversation. You can go onto the site, click onto our live events and register to be part of that conversation with Nonku next Thursday. The webinar does give you the ability to post your questions and ask her for any insights that might be of interest to you. Other interesting parts on the website this week, if you haven't yet, please go check out the Umbrella Hub, where we bring the information or bring to light the information of commercial umbrella funds in our industry. An interesting fact from yesterday's Sanlam symposium, 50% of the remaining standalone funds in our industry are now actively contemplating converting into umbrella funds. Not converting, but rather joining. I think that this is a piece of our industry that has typically been quite opaque. in that to find information on the commercial umbrella funds has been difficult. And then to find who to speak to when it comes to the various commercial umbrella funds, actually almost impossible. So the hub is a place where we as an industry and as a community can meet, can see information that is posted and updated by the various commercial funds, ask some questions that we might have, and then also be prompted to think about questions that we haven't even thought of yet. And when I say that, I'm actually thinking of our facility called Dynamic Dialogues, where we pose interesting, sometimes problematic questions to various thought leaders in the industry and invite them to comment and to give their views on the website. You are then able to access their views, read, understand, and then contribute to an ongoing dialogue. Really, again, talking to this want in our community or need in our community for collaboration. So that's our dynamic dialogue this week. Interesting articles that I've really enjoyed reading. There was a couple on governance in the new scary world. Something that I really enjoyed was the local economists' views on the Iran-Israel conflict and what we can expect, particularly with the president in the United States who kind of makes his mind up on the fly and then changes his mind. So some very, very insightful comments from some of our leading economists around the impact of that for the members of our retirement funds and for investors at large. I think that's about it, my wrap for this week. If I look at what's out there, certainly some interesting events coming up that we'll be sharing with you. Off the top of my head, look out for the announcements around EBNet's Evolutionaries Conference and how you can get involved in that if you want to. Thank you for your comments that keep coming both on the website and through our social media. Please follow myself, follow EBNet, and follow EBNet Stream on LinkedIn to be kept up to date with some of the interesting interviews that we do. Until we chat again next week, have a good weekend.